Welcome to Cultivate, a podcast about building, growing, and figuring it out as you go. If you're new here, welcome. I'm your host, Alex, and I'm so glad you're here. Real quick, if this show has been valuable to you at all, be sure to hit subscribe. 3 years in, and your support is what keeps this going. It helps us land sponsors, and it tells me exactly what you want more of. Just takes 2 seconds, and it means everything. Now, today's conversation is with someone building something rooted in a belief most of us can get behind, that what we put in our bodies should be real and that how we grow our food actually matters. My guest today is Erik Ramstad, COO of Farmwell, a family-run upstate New York company producing organic, antioxidant-rich drinks powered by one of nature's most underrated superfoods, the aronia berry. What started as a family dream has grown into a regenerative organic certified farm and a beverage brand built on the idea that farming well and living well go hand in hand. In this episode, we talk about building a mission-driven brand from the ground up, literally, what it actually takes to develop a great product people genuinely believe in, and the intersection of sustainability, entrepreneurship, and getting your product out into the world. All right, let's dive in. Erik Ramstad, welcome to Cultivate.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here. Really appreciate having me on today.
I'm excited. What you're doing is so creative, so cool. It's not often that I get to talk to someone who's building a brand in the consumer products space. And so I'm just like super curious on how it all works and some of the, obstacles you've had to face, because I know that there's so much that goes on in that space. If people are just getting introduced to Farmwell, where are you guys right now and what do you guys do best?
Yeah, so we are Farmwell. We like to say refreshing antioxidant hydration from the farm. So all our drinks are based around the aronia berry. If you haven't heard of the aronia berry, no worries. I can tell you all about it.
Tell us about the aronia berry.
It is, it's an antioxidant powerhouse berry, 3 times the antioxidants of a blueberry. So it's actually native to the area, upstate New York, kind of from Minnesota all the way to Maine, up into Canada. But by itself, it's never really had its time in the spotlight. It's a little less sweet of a berry by itself. We thought it would be the perfect foundation for a really refreshing drink. So back in 2017, my dad, he was in the organic food business for about 25 years, and he didn't really want to retire. He grew up in Iowa. Detasseling corn was his summer job, and always dreamed of starting a farm. And when
Did you always dream of starting a farm?
I did not. So this is new to me. So we are new farmers. So this is a whole new experience. I've had the chance to learn so much. New to CPG, like the whole space in food. That's something new to me, as well as farming. So it's been a huge learning curve in a great way, and big believer that continuing to learn, continuing to improve, continuing to find new things. It's been a phenomenal experience, and continuing to learn new things every day relating to farming, farm equipment, and just CPG in general.
I think that's the best part of entrepreneurship, is just this infinite opportunity to learn new things, especially if you're a curious person. Who did you imagine yourself being, or at least what did you imagine yourself doing when you were a kid or a teenager?
I've always had the chance to. I'm a big believer in continuing to learn. So my background, I've worked with a real estate company for 18 years, more on the operations and the marketing side. Always had the opportunity to work with other projects. So I've worked in some side projects and jobs helping my background is in running. So I was able to work with a lot of running related brands, really building a lot of their online presence, user interface design, website layout. I'm just super curious and always constantly wanting to learn. So server infrastructure and setups and everything, learning and continuing to help create brand identities for other companies. So having the opportunity to do that with Farmwell has been a really cool experience. It's been incredibly humbling, seeing what works, what doesn't work, what resonates, what doesn't resonate, and seeing that firsthand. It's been Yeah, it's been really cool to see. And it's been more humbling being the person where it's like, oh, this is not working. We've got to pivot and like figuring out the best way to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine because you guys had originally launched a brand and the launch didn't go the way you wanted it to. So then you guys decided to relaunch and rebrand into Farmwell. As someone who comes from like the marketing space of brand building, what was that experience like? Kind of being like, oh crap, I thought I knew how to build a brand and this didn't work. I mean, I've had so many moments in the past year with CNY Women's Network where, to be honest, like I had this thought yesterday where I was like, it's honestly easier to get started. I feel like, especially when you're doing something brand new and fresh, there's so much success at first, and you're like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be a hit. I'm gonna knock it out of the park, and it's only gonna go up from here. And then you get into like year 3, and people are like very aware of the brand. Maybe people have experienced it. Maybe people are bored. Maybe people didn't like it. People come and go into your world, like as a brand, right? So I think it gets real hard around like year 3 when there is this, rapport and familiarity that you've built with your audience. And now it's like, okay, how do we level up and keep people involved, keep people interested, engaged, all those things? I think that's the hard part. But getting the ball rolling and getting people, just like building the brand in the very beginning, it's honestly seemed easier than it does now.
Yeah,
Does that
definitely.
resonate?
It does. It really does. And for us, like you mentioned, we started a brand. So we started the farm in 2017. So we started the farm first, and that was always where like all our decisions came out of. And starting our original brand, that was something that was totally new to me, and I had no idea, in a good way, hopefully, what I was doing, but I was really trying. And we had a name that was a little difficult to pronounce, and like we'd mentioned nothing about the farm on our label or anything, and it was going okay. But we realized that we weren't like really, our products weren't all within the same umbrella, so to speak. One was not organic, the rest were. And it was just like, we weren't telling a consistent story. So we kind of like threw it all under the table, which was like, it's hard to do, like to be like, okay, like let's start from scratch.
And also, I think a really important point here too is like it's really, really important as brands to know what you want to be known for and like put the blinders on and double down.
Yeah.
We've had to trim a lot of stuff away lately with the CNY Women's Network because, I mean, at first I think it's fun to kind of throw things at the wall and see what sticks, right? You're testing the market, but it's really hard to scale and grow if you are trying to be known for too many things. It just makes it really confusing for your consumer. And I'm sure that that's what you realized with that, right?
It does. Yeah. We met with a company that helped us in the rebrand, and they're like, you guys are just trying to be everything for everyone. And I was like, I know, like this is the perfect product for everyone. And she's like, the woman who helped us with the rebrand was so wonderful. And she's like, it might be. And like, you're right. It might be perfect for everyone and everyone in the world should consume it. But like, it's very hard to start out and be everything for everyone. And have it resonate and have it like, if you're being everything for everyone, you're also being nothing for, because it's just too much. You're trying to hit too many people and not like be your lane, like you were saying. So it was a big learning curve, and it's like one of those things you hear, and then experiencing it is a totally different.
Which I think when you're someone who wants to create something and change the world for the better, you just want to like you want to change everyone's lives. You want to make the world a better place, right? So I think it's just like there's so much goodness and like beauty in, I think, the young, naive entrepreneur that wants to change the world. But that is exactly the lesson I've had to learn most recently is you can't be everything to everyone. And you can't create something for everyone, unfortunately, even though you want to help everyone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you worked with someone on the rebrand.
We did, yeah.
Where did the Farmwell name came from? Were there a few other names you guys were considering?
Yeah, we were playing around with a bunch of different names and ideas. I think like with the rebrand for us, it was really important. Like there's so many like wonderful brands that are like XYZ Farms or like XYZ, and we really wanted to lean into it. That's like what makes us different. We're one of the few functional beverages or plant-based hydrations in the country that like are really run by the family and the farm behind the drink. So we're like, yes, let's lean into that. but we wanted to be more than just like a location and the farm. So we wanted to like, our goal was to try to elicit like an idea or a concept that could be bigger than ourselves, so to speak. And we played around with a million names, and it took us far too long to deliberate back and forth. But for us, it ended up like landing on Farmwell. I guess we like to say like we're more than a wellness drink from the farm. Like we truly believe that farming well leads to good, better ingredients. Better ingredients fuel a better way to live.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
yeah.
What were a couple of the names that almost made it?
Oh gosh, thinking back. And like now I say them and like they are not good. So
You're
it's
like,
like
I'm so
I'm
glad
like
we didn't go
very
with that.
happy we didn't end up there. Some of them were like, I think, farm fresh refresh. So just trying to play on like a cadence thing. I haven't thought about this in a while, so I'm trying to like remember what they were. Yeah,
Farm fresh, refresh.
I know farm fresh is more
That's
like, and I was like, that's
aggressive.
really intense. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. So yeah, I think we ended up in a great place, and I think it really like worked out for the best, where we like ended up with our name and the overall like brand identity, so to speak. So. But it's hard, like you were saying, like it's hard to figure out like this is the lane we want to live in. And like for us, it's like real ingredients and like we're not too sweet. So I was at like a demo. We still try to run a ton of things because having the opportunity to talk to people is so important. And I was like, I finally just stopped saying what I've always said for so long. And I was just like, okay, if you're looking for something sweet, that's not us. But if you're looking for something real, something refreshing, and that resonated. And like that was like an aha moment for me. And I brought that back to our team and we're like, okay, like this is something to really lean into because like this is not who we are. We're not something that's sweet, but we're something that's real. So just continuing to take those learnings that we get all the time and continue to apply them into who we are as a brand.
So you did this rebrand about a year ago. What has this past year been like? What have you been focused on?
I think the biggest is just like continuing to talk to people, continuing to get out there and continuing to like share both the brand, the drink, the story behind it. And to a certain extent, that's like the biggest thing that we can keep doing. So we're working to like expand distribution, expand stores and locations that we're in, but continuing to talk to people and continuing to educate them on what the aronia berry is, why Farmwell is different, why that matters, how just about the drink in general and why farming well matters in the end of the day. I think that's still at the root of everything that we're doing. So there's a lot more logistics. Like I think that's the biggest thing that I necessarily didn't know, but like it's continuing to lean more and more into logistics and getting things dialed in and continuing. And as the years progressed, it's more like organization and more structure and continuing to make sure like so many things line up and are dialed in. It's been a learning experience.
I can't imagine building a brand in the CPG space right now. Like, I'm sure there's so many things to juggle on top of branding and sales and marketing, right? And you didn't have any experience prior to building this. What would you say were the hardest things for you to learn? Or maybe what were some of the mistakes you made that you were like, oh gosh, if only I had like an expert to lean on, or, someone that could help me navigate this part of building a CPG brand?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily mistakes, but it's like learning experiences and opportunities. Like for me, like I don't have my own social media and like I've steered clear of that personally for like a long time. So like jumping back into that to like get Farmwell out there in the social media space, I think like it's easy to get like not overwhelmed, but like by what everybody else is doing and like everything. And you like see this brand over here and it's like, oh, they just got on this shelf in this store, or like, oh, they're doing this to get more people. So I think like one of the learning experiences is like trying to copy everything that everybody's doing. And I think I've learned to like, okay, here's an idea and an opportunity to like try this thing or this marketing tactic through social media or in other ways and like learn from it. And here's a way to effectively test it and see if it's actually working for us, as opposed to just like doing everything that everyone else is doing, if that makes sense. So just trying to like stay in our lane in a good way, but like learn from what everybody else is doing instead of just being like chasing all the shiny objects that are out there.
Who are some of your distributors right now? Like what stores is Farmwell currently in and what stores are you manifesting being in? I mean, obviously Sprouts, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys in Sprouts?
We're not in Sprouts,
That's got
but
to be on the
manifesting.
list.
So
I
yeah,
just
just
went to Sprouts for the first time ever, like a month ago.
beautiful stores. Yeah, big fan. So yeah, just we're in about 300 stores, a lot of like grocery stores, co-ops from New York to Maine. Just launched in a bunch of stores in California and Washington, and have a few other like really exciting launches coming up in the next month or so. So continuing to like manifest and put it all out there. But yeah, just continue. Like I think our big thing too is like figuring out like growing effectively, like not continuing to support the stores that we're in because it's we can get on shelf we can get on shelf to a lot of stores, but if we don't sell and hit the velocities that they're looking for or expecting, we could be off just as fast. So it's a balance for sure in like making sure that as we're growing effectively, that's the wrong word, effectively, but we're growing sustainably, yeah, so that we're continuing to support the launches and the stores that we're in, to be able to like let people know that we're in those stores, and to be able to continue to like connect with individuals who are in the end purchasing the product.
Do you guys ever do like brand activations in the stores that you're in, like tastings and kind of interact with the consumers?
Yeah, it's super funny. Like when we first launched, my dad and I did every single demo to talk to people because at the
That's
beginning,
awesome.
like talking with people, getting the feedback, like I want honest feedback, like please, that's so
Hmm.
wonderful and like happy or like
So important.
so important. Always love when like kids are trying product because it's like you get like
Because
unfiltered
they're
and it's
so
wonderful. It's
honest.
so honest. So it's it's great. So we run like hundreds of demos ourselves. And we're starting to lean into, just from a scalability perspective, like other partners to help us facilitate some of those like brand activations and in store. Because at the end of the day, we're a product with an ingredient that not a lot of people have heard of. And if that even creates a little bit of hesitation on shelf from somebody grabbing it, we think that like if we can get somebody to try it, we can show them or give them the opportunity to experience the drink themselves and be like, oh man, this is awesome. And to continue to like either purchase then or continue to be an advocate for the brand. So,
Yeah.
but it is like demos, activations, like being in store to like talk to people. And the end of the day is like one of the biggest opportunities to continue to, get in front of people.
What are some of the other marketing strategies that you felt have been most effective for the brand overall? Not just like in terms of increasing brand awareness, but also just like consistent user consumption. Have you guys dove into influencer marketing at all?
Dove into influencer marketing.
Do you think that that's effective? Like, what's your personal take on that?
I think so. Like, I think I can say so much.
I think it's really the reason why I ask. I
Yeah.
think because it's all we're hearing about right now in the marketing world. But it's, as someone who's growing a CPG brand that really has that real world experience of seeing the results and working with these influencers, like I think it's an interesting perspective to hear your honest take. So
Yeah, I'm so appreciative like for the individuals we've had the chance to work with, like, and for being like genuine and like on, and that's like what I think, like we can create beautiful like ads or beautiful marketing pieces talking about the farms, showcasing the drink, but getting real people to talk about it, like it somebody's friend is telling you, or like my friend is telling me, hey, you should try this, as opposed to like you seeing some ad of like me, the farmer guy, I'm like in the field, like talking about it. I think it, it goes a longer way, or it comes at it from a different perspective because you're hearing it from somebody that you already know, like, and trust. So yeah, it's something that we're continuing to lean into and continuing to like figure out the best, like always continuing to figure out like the best way in which to set the influencers up for success. So I'm trying to like continue to give great resources on just like, hey, this is what who Farmwell is. And yeah, to help them learn a little bit quickly about the brand, to be able to like talk about it if it's something that resonates with them.
yeah. When I think of Farmwell too, just from like a marketing PR perspective, I'm thinking about like collaborations and not just with creators, but with other brands, maybe in a similar space or in a complementary space. Have you guys collaborated with other brands to create something together?
We haven't had the chance to do that yet. One of the first, like, we're trying to be really intentional. Like I mentioned before, we launched a brand that our goal was for it to be for everybody. And now we're really leaning into like farming, why farming well matters, and real ingredients, and like no added sugar, and finding the people, like really working to communicate that to the people that are interested in like a drink that's not too sweet, and from the farm, and people are intentional about what they eat and looking to extend that into what they drink. So we have like our first like partnership, so to speak, last summer. We're doing it again this summer. Was like working with a company called Farm to Fork Fitness, and it's really, really cool. They're a bike riding series that goes from, like, their idea is that they spend so much time, like bikers, cyclists spend so much time in the beautiful roads and the farmland all around like the US, wherever they are. So they work to really like bring together farmers and bikers. So you can actually like go on a farm tour and stop at like different farms and eat the food that those farmers are creating to really celebrate the farmers. So we
That
partnered.
sounds amazing.
It's really
I
cool.
want to do
like,
it.
Went last,
I'm
like we
sold.
went to a bunch of the events last summer, and like had the opportunity, like my dad did one of the events. Like he's like, oh, I'm going to do like this because this looks awesome. So
if we can mix fitness with food,
it's always a win.
I'm down. I'm down. I'm so there.
So that was really cool. So we're trying to find those opportunities as a starting point, like people that really, really combine with who we are really well as we're getting started, and then continue to expand from there.
This episode is brought to you by the Central New York Community Foundation, an organization that helps make Central New York a place where people can truly thrive. From youth programs in arts and culture to safe housing, crisis response, parks and recreation, workforce development, and access to opportunity, their impact touches nearly every corner of our community. And now they're launching a new podcast called Sincerely CNY. It's going to be a love letter to this region, hosted by President and CEO Melanie Littlejohn. There's going to be intimate conversations with the quiet champions and visionary leaders shaping the future of Central New York, and you're not going to want to miss out. So keep your eyes out for its launch and get ready to experience the heart, purpose, and future of this region. Signed, Sincerely CNY.
Yeah. Have you like, I honestly have some ideas.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I'd love to hear.
Well, I'm sure you have you heard of The Well in Austin, Texas?
I have not, no.
It's a really well-known like health food restaurant. And every time I'm in Austin, like that's like where I go to work and get lunch. And it's a restaurant that's all about, they use no seed oils. I don't believe they don't have any dairy. It's like anti-inflammatory, gluten-free, all the things. But the crowd that they bring in to that restaurant I just feel like that would be like your target customer. But just kind of collaborating with restaurants and like community brands, lifestyle brands like that do have that in-person like activation opportunity, and doing like a collab with them. But I also think I mean, I've tried all the Farmwell drinks. I think they're fantastic because I don't like things that are sweet. So it's right up my alley personally. But I don't know if you're interested in this, but have you ever collaborated or thought about it, getting into the alcohol space? Because I'm just like a vodka soda girl. Mm-hmm. If I do a martini, I'll do a splash of like grapefruit juice because it's not sweet. It's like bitter.
Yeah.
But I don't like savory. I don't like sweet. I like refreshing when I drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And I would consider myself a pretty health conscious girly that likes to dabble in her alcohol from time to time. And I was honestly, when I was drinking those drinks, I'm like, this would be amazing with vodka or like a spritz, like a Farmwell spritz. Totally could see that happening. And I think it could be really cool to do like a collab at a venue that does attract that health conscious community that also likes to have fun.
Yep.
And then also collaborate with an alcohol brand that, sees the vision and appreciates it.
No, I love it. It's definitely, I love the idea. I might have to run with it for sure. So thank you. We've had the opportunity to talk with like at some of the shows that we've gone to, like some like restaurants and bartenders, like specifically, who brought it in more at like artisanal, like artisanal craft beverages or artisanal drinks. I'm trying to think of the word, but like who love to tell a story about what's going on with the cocktail that they're making, where the ingredients have come from. And it was super, like one of the individuals we spoke with was like, yes, I am bringing all of like she was talking about the cucumber. She's like, this is number one, it makes my job easier because I don't have to muddle as much and make, but I can still tell this awesome story about what's going on behind the brand, where like the ingredients, the drink is actually coming from. So she's like, this is great. I love it. But we need to lean into that, I think, in a little bit more.
And I just think in general, bars now are expanding upon their mocktail offerings. Are, you know, we're seeing, especially the younger generation, really lean into sober living, but they still want to be out. They still want to be social. They still want to network. So it's like, how do you break, you know, kind of break into that space? I think it could be interesting. I also heard that the founders of ProMix are opening up a private members wellness club right next to the Well in Austin, Texas. And that's going to be like a co-working space / like wellness, fitness kind of social club, essentially. But one of the founders of ProMix used to have like a farm / fitness club. Like he had a farm in Austin, I think, and had a full gym on it, sauna, cold plunge, and just started inviting out other founders to it, and like built like a founder community where they would all go out to his farm and work out. And I think their tagline was like, deals are made in the sauna or something like that. The saunas where deals are made.
Yeah.
And so I just think like that the Austin community in general is, I love how entrepreneurial but also wellness focused everyone is. But also there's always something going on in Austin. There's so many pop-ups happening on the street, coffee carts everywhere.
I love it. And I think like that's one of the things, like just having conversations with people and learning about like all the cool things that are out there that people are doing, like is amazing, and continuing to find those opportunities to potentially like reach out and expand or connect with individuals who like might appreciate something like Farmwell or like what we're building. So
it's never underestimate the power of conversation, right? That's what I'm all about. So, I mean, you're still very much in the beginning stages of building a brand. I'm sure your head is spinning 24/7. Where are you putting your energy right now? And what are some of the things that you've had to prune and get rid of to become more productive?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We're really focusing, mentioned earlier, on just like dialing in the logistics. Big believer, I think it's James Clear, where it's like you don't rise to your goals, you like fall to the level of your systems. And like that, like my background is operations, and like I'm a big believer that like getting things dialed in so that you're constantly hitting on the things that need to be hit on are super, super important. So just continuing to figure out the logistics as we continue to grow. Things continue to change, and we're shifting roles around internally, like within the company, on who's focusing on what, so that we can best adapt, because certain things are really growing, and the potential for like in the logistical component, as we grow, like the logistics are growing. So, yeah, we've shifted more like resources and time towards that, so that's where we have been focusing a lot more lately.
I mean, I personally am very ambitious and like more of a visionary than an operator. So that's been my biggest struggle, is to know like when it's time to stop and slow down and refine. Because especially being the way I'm wired, it doesn't feel good to slow down. Like you want to see things happening day after day, but I have taught myself to think of it like a slingshot. You're going to pull back a little bit so you can just propel forward. If you had any advice for someone like me that knows they need to get things dialed in their business, but they just don't know where to start, what would you say to them?
Oh, goodness. And I hate to say like the same thing maybe, but I think focusing on like the things that you're really, really good at, the things that are going like that really resonate with you. And maybe those are the same and maybe they're not. I'm a big believer that like if you enjoy what you're doing and you're getting the momentum there, like keep leaning into that. But if you don't enjoy it, then it's gonna be harder for you to like lean into that really hard, and to like it's more of like a grind to do that stuff, if that makes sense. So if it's not something that brings you the joy or the passion, and there's gonna be a lot of days that are tough and that it's a grind, but if you don't enjoy it, like it's harder to find the momentum to get back into it. I'm not sure if that like makes sense, but it's like leaning into like if you don't like doing this, then hey, like if there's somebody else, if it's important to the business, hey, bringing somebody else in to help with that can be huge to continue to move that forward. Because I think that's what I've learned is like so many people have so many different passions, and that's so wonderful to bring in somebody who has that passion for that and can really keep that ball up in the air while you focus on what you're knocking out of the park and what you love to do, because you'll have the excitement and enthusiasm to keep moving that forward.
Yeah, especially if like what I've personally done, and if you're listening to this and you're in a part of your business where you are doing literally everything, and you know that eventually you're going to get to a place where you're going to be able to hire and delegate. When things come up for me that feel really painful, or maybe I'm like, you know what? I'm not good at this. I shouldn't be doing this, but I have to right now, and I'm going to figure it out regardless. Like just having somewhere where you're jotting that down, the specific, role or operation or task. And then once it's time to scale and hire, you go back to that note or that doc, and you're like, okay, this is what I need to stop doing. Basically, it's like my list of things I need to stop doing. And then also from the operations end, I've had I do have quite a lengthy list of things that we need to just document, make more efficient, create an SOP for, so that when it does come time to hire someone, you actually are ready to hire someone, and you're not spending your entire week training and onboarding because you didn't document anything.
Yeah, and you don't know where you want
That's
to
the
start.
pickle
Yeah.
I've gotten myself into, but we're fixing that. We're
Nice,
getting everything
congrats.
documented now.
Nice.
So
And that's some of the harder stuff is that we're learning as well as we're growing, is just like making sure, like recently brought a new person on as well to help out with some of those things. And that was something I did, but also had an opportunity to improve. Like I could have done more, if that makes sense, to set. So I'm backtracking a little bit and doing a lot of like hands-on training to really help him find success out of the gate. So it's been good. It's been a good learning experience.
what are some of I'm curious now, what are some of the tools or technology that you're using in your business, specifically around operations and developing, documenting those processes?
A lot of it is like it's a ton of spreadsheets. And I know there's more efficient, and there's amazing software out there to do a lot of the things that we have spreadsheets doing, but like our spreadsheets are pretty robust. And
Are you a spreadsheet guy?
I am. So that's where I'll
Good for you.
yeah.
Good for you.
If I can I enjoy the spreadsheets.
It brings you
and
joy?
get it a little bit, like when it's like dialed in, you're like, yes, like that was
Yeah.
awesome. But I love like the marketing side too. Like I think it's the marketing and the getting results. And so to me, those go hand in hand. So like using the spreadsheets to make sure like, okay, this is working or it's not, and then pivot. So like I'm trying to make sure that it's like as dialed in as possible. And I think so we use a ton of spreadsheets. There's so much software out there, but it's expensive to do the like really expensive, huge scale that we don't need yet. So getting the spreadsheets and everything dialed in takes a little time, but it works and it goes really well. So that, and like just having a good like CRM or just a way to organize everyone you're reaching out to. And I think that's one of the things in this business that's been like a learning experience is like you get a lot of no's, like people that aren't going to bring the product in right. And it's a lot of like not right now. And some of it's like not ready yet, don't have the space, can't do it. But it's just an opportunity to reach out in the future and just making sure that you don't forget that person. So it's a lot of like relationship building and things that don't come overnight, and continuing to have conversations with people. But if we lose or forget where that conversation was, it's a missed opportunity. And like, I think everything for like, we'll use AI and lean into things where we can automate certain things. But at the end of the day, like CPG business is just as much of a relationship building with the customer as it is with the buyers, as it is with our salespeople. And it's constantly talking and communicating. And I guess I'll be a big believer that like communication and talking to people is what like really moves the needle in the end, because you're building these relationships with people all across the board. So we can automate things all day long, but if we don't connect, and then it's really, really hard.
Well, let's dive a little bit more into that. I personally, from my perspective, I feel like you are a very good connector and very good communicator. What are some of your strategies around relationship building with like a prospective partner or distributor? I mean, I have a feeling you're going to say it just comes down to just like being a real person and being genuine, which it does.
Yeah.
But like you said, you've had to develop a little bit of strategy along the way with your communication and maybe timeline, things like that. I'm just curious because what we do at CNY Women's Network is so communication heavy. And I'm very much still learning and figuring out this whole sales life cycle thing. And when is it a good time to reach out? How long should I wait? How can I better organize my CRM? Make sure I'm not forgetting about people. That happens,
Yeah, it does. I think it does depend. And some of it, like, it all depends on the scenario and the person. But at the end of the day, it's a conversation. And how can you keep opening the door in a lot of scenarios? So like one example, like when we got started, we're just getting started back with our first brand when we were launching, and like we would get a list from our distributor of like all the stores that they could get us into, and so we went down to. My dad and I would literally just like grab a bunch of, like at that time we were in glass bottles, and grab a bunch of samples and glass bottles, and we would drive around the state to go talk to buyers like in the grocery store. And like there were a couple times where we went down to New York City on the weekends and like would like go in and try to find, he'd like go to one end of the city, I go to the other, and we'd like meet in the middle. And
what a hustle.
You gotta try.
It was probably, I'm sure at the time it was hard, but looking back, it probably seems like a really fun time in your life.
It was a cool experience. And I learned so much in that, like in those days, like, because individuals like in this scenario, like individuals in the store don't like, they're working, like they don't have a lot of time to talk to me. I'm just like coming on off the street and like hoping against all hope that I can talk to the right person. But if I get the right person, they're working on so many things in the store. So if I get 30 seconds to talk to them, like that's a win. And so like it's communicating effectively, quickly, like what's the most important, why should they have more than a 15-second conversation with me, and why should it extend to 2 minutes? And like that was our goal, was to just like get the conversation to maybe a minute, and like that they want to keep asking questions. So like what's the most compelling? So like a lot of it was like reorganizing some of like how we were, like our most important talking points about like Farmwell. Why are we different? Or the brand at the time, but just like, why are we different? Why should somebody care? Why are we unique? Why do we think we should be on shelf? And why ultimately do we think it'll resonate with customers? But it was just like figuring that out was super, I guess, to your question, like on communication and connecting with people. It was what was most important to them in that moment. And how can we just like continue, like we think we have a great product. I think it's a great product for your store. Why should it? Like, why should they be interested?
Yeah, no, I love that. That's super important, especially, even when it just comes to networking. It's like a lot of the times we do just have, first impressions do matter. And a lot of the times we have 10 seconds to tell someone exactly who we are, right? And it's a process. I mean, I remember when I first started CNY Women's Network, I mean, gosh, I host networking events for a living. I should have been really good at like pitching myself and, getting people on board and networking in general. But I was really long-winded, and I still am a lot of the times. Less is more, which I'm sure you realize.
Yeah, I am. Like, I can talk a lot and use my hands a lot, and like I get into it. And we'll say too, so figuring out how to be more succinct when it matters in that scenario. In certain scenarios, it's like you get 50. So I practice at least. I have like a 15-second, a 30-second, a 60. It changes depending on the person and the scenario. But like,
which one to use.
being like, I'm like a big believer like in like scripts are horrible and like all like, but just like having a connection, but having a million things that you can talk about is super helpful. And like why, how the Women's Network is different. Like why would somebody be interested? Like being able to talk about those things, I'm sure like you like is really important. But like being able to talk about it with different people, because different things might resonate more or less with different people.
Yeah.
So.
No. And you can really only figure that out like on the job.
Yes.
In the moment, like doing the thing.
You're gonna make mistakes. It's not gonna go well a lot of the like at the beginning, and you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Or like, yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are just afraid of putting themselves in the position you put yourself in for fear of not being successful, not being perfect, not being well received. But truly, like you can't actually figure out how to communicate with people until you communicate and really see their reaction. Like you have to be in that moment. And ChatGPT creating the perfect pitch template for you to memorize is
out the window when you're in the conversation.
It only goes so far.
Yeah.
It might do well on social media, but like in the real world, you just got to feel people's energy and figure out what to do with it. But like I said, I'm still learning about sales, honestly. Sales is like an art that I didn't realize I needed to learn until I started growing a brand and realized that like everything we do is sales. I mean, having a conversation, being in a relationship with anybody is sales, but you've built Farmwell around this idea of doing things the right way. How have you been able to communicate that? How do you do that?
Yeah, I think for us, maybe like a starting point for that, like we were really focused on growing aronia berries at the beginning, like getting the berry itself. Like, and there were so many like hurdles and opportunities for learning about farming, about this berry that not a lot of people in the US like have had a lot of experience farming. So it was a lot of trial and error, like especially growing it organic. And we were so focused on just like growing the berry and didn't really know how to describe it, back to conversation and like talking about why we're farming differently or what it means. And we, I guess for lack of a better, like learned about like regenerative farming and what that means and what that looks like. And it really described everything that we were doing. And we were like, oh my gosh, like this is great. Cause it just like, so we ended up moving forward. We got our Regenerative Organic Certification for our farm, which really just like showcases, it's a lot about Regenerative Organic Certification has like 3 pillars where it's like animal, like the fair treating of animals, which we don't have any animals on our farm, so that doesn't apply to us, but like the equitable treating of people on the farm and like employees and people we're working with, and like working towards continuing to improve the soil health. So it's like really building the soil health. So like, I guess the big difference, or maybe a way to think about it is like organic, which we are, is like the things you can't do, the things you can do. And regenerative is about like continuing to build and grow for the future. And a long answer, I think, to your question, but like that was how we were doing things all along. We've had to make a few small changes, and my mom is our farm operations manager, and she knocked it out of the park. She does on a daily basis, doing what she does, like running our farm. But like we didn't have to change, besides like a lot of the paperwork and moving through this, like we didn't have to change a lot of our farming practices, because like we've just been focused on building the soil health, because that's like what made sense to us, like using cover crops to improve the nitrogen and the quality of our soil, like is something that like made sense. So like we wanted to do it. And then we were like, oh, okay, this like falls within regenerative farming and the idea of what this is. So it was like, oh, cool. Like, so I guess, I mean,
I love that.
Yeah, we just tried to, and everything for us really does start with the farm first. So we're really trying to like do a great job at farming, and we're just trying to use like in the drinks themselves are only real ingredients and no added sugar. So for us, it's just trying to start with the farm and start with great farming practices and create a drink made from real things that people really enjoy drinking.
Yeah, well, it sounds like this philosophy has been a part of your business from the very start without you even knowing it. As the business has continued to grow, though, have there been things that you have had to compromise, or maybe things that you thought you might have to compromise on that you kind of pushed through?
Yeah, our goal is farming well. So at this point, like if we have to make a decision, we go back to that. And what does farming well mean? And what does it look like? And if it were something that goes against like where we're trying to come from and where we're trying to be, like it's not for us.
Yeah. And one of the most powerful things we can do as founders is learn how to say no. Even if something sounds like it could be a great opportunity, really coming back to your why and your values. And if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
What's a belief that you've had about entrepreneurship that you've had to unlearn?
It's a great question. I think for me personally, it's that like hustle cures all, or like that like hustling through everything will like get you to the best solution or get you to like
The finish
the
line.
finish line. I think that there's a lot of like learning experiences. A lot of, for me, like farming is having to slow down,
Yeah.
which doesn't like
Does not add up
does
with
not.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So like farming itself, like harvesting, like we have to go slow when we harvest to actually like improve our yields for the berries. So like I have to drive the tractor slow and very methodically, little things like that where I'm just like, it's very counterintuitive to how I had thought up until this point. So like doing things, and it's not like that I wasn't doing things well, I guess, but it's just like slowing down really helps a lot in a lot of scenarios where a lot of times I would just try to like outwork in the past, if that makes sense. So trying to take that deep breath and really gain perspective before diving into stuff.
No, that makes complete sense. And I love that, honestly.
And it's hard.
I'm sure it is hard to be in a space that you're in and also be like someone who's pushing this brand forward and is always thinking about growth. But it's such a beautiful thing that you are in a space that has like forced you and taught you how to slow down and like truly wrap your head around the importance of being able to, and the power behind slowing down. So much clarity comes from space, time, and rest.
It does. And it's still hard for me to get there. So
how are you personally defining growth at this stage? I know that you're in an era of getting things dialed in, refining them. So does growth mean more sales, more customers, more stores, or does it mean more efficiency?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the biggest thing at the end of the day is like continuing to like resonate with people. So if that looks like more stores, that gives us the platform to do that, awesome. But back to like, if we're not selling in those stores, then we don't have the opportunity to be in those stores long. So it's wherever we have the opportunity to like meet and connect with those people, but making sure that like first and foremost, we're connecting with people and like resonating with what they're interested in and interested in consuming.
I love that. I'm so like it's so cool to talk to someone that's, like I said at the beginning of this episode, that's in your space. I think it's fascinating. When I grew up, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I always thought I would create a product or invent a product or something and be selling that. Maybe I still will someday. I tell people that CNY Women's Network is like my working MBA program because I feel like I'm like, when I started this, I was like, if I can figure out how to sell like literally a brand and a feeling and a community, just like sell a lifestyle essentially without a specific product that people can walk away with, which is so hard. And I'm still figuring it out. Trust me. Then I was like, well, then I could probably figure out how to build a product brand, but I don't know. I think I was a little naive at the time. I think it's probably so much harder because you're dealing with so many more logistics.
Yeah, but I think like what you're doing as well is like helping like people and like maybe it's not a physical product, but like I think that the like the Women's Summit and like that the feeling and the learning experiences and opportunities to me is like also like I think about that and I'm like, that sounds really hard. So like incredibly impressive.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I would like to think that people still walk away from the events with something.
That's
it just
what I mean.
might not
like,
be something they can
it's not
hold
something
or drink.
tangible, but I think like those are like what you're doing to me is like harder because it's not tangible, but it's like, and you know, like as a product, you hope that there's a feeling associated with it as well, like coming from the farm or being real. But like what you're doing is it's like in a good way, like all a feeling. I think that's really cool and impressive.
Thank you, Erik.
Yeah.
You're so sweet. Okay, we got some rapid fire.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay. One thing every consumer founder should obsess over.
Product. In the end of the day, like that's what we have. Like our story can be great. Our logistics, our infrastructure, our distribution can be great. But if in the end of the day, our product isn't something that resonates with people, then all the other stuff can be so 100% dialed. But if your product isn't quite there, then it's a product.
One mistake that kills product brands early.
I guess speaking from our experience is just trying to do too much, like at the beginning, trying to be for everyone, trying to be the perfect product that everybody would want to consume, or trying to chase too many shiny objects along the way.
If you were starting over with just $10,000, what would you do first?
I would obsess about the product that I'm creating and why it fills like a gap in the marketplace, like why it's different than anything else that's out there. Because in the end of the day, that's the big thing. Like when talking with consumers, when talking with stores, is like why are people going to be interested in this? Like why is it filling a gap that doesn't exist currently? And it comes back to product, but it's also a little bit on the story and why you fit in a unique way.
All right, this last one might be a little controversial, but I think it's fun. What's a trend in consumer products you think is overrated right now? I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm by the way, I'm a consumer through and through. I'm like the best consumer you'll ever meet. I know a lot of people love it, and I actually think that it's important, and maybe I feel this way because I don't have a sensitivity to whey, but the clear protein fad, I'm just not into it. But it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
It's literally everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know if this is much of a trend, but I think it's like chasing the newest thing. For us, we're just trying to be like who we are, real ingredients from the farm. I think like chasing, like everybody dropping everything to chase the newest thing on the market. To me, that's the trend.
I have one more question for you that was not on our outline, but I'm curious. What is the biggest benefit someone could get from drinking Farmwell?
I think like there's like actual benefits, antioxidant drink, but I think like hopefully, and like this is me maybe shooting so big, but it's just like we're real. We are a real drink. We're real from the farm, real ingredients, no added sugar. So I think like so many people care about like the ingredients, the food that they're putting into their body. We're trying to be that solution, or we are that solution for people who are looking to add that into what they drink. So I think the biggest thing they can get out of it, hopefully, is that like sense of like peace or knowing like that what they're drinking is real. That like what they're consuming is real, and that they are like continuing to like be like supporting a product that's made by real farmers, it's made by a real family. So hopefully it's either that sense of like peace or just like understanding, and it's like it's real.
Yeah, I love it. Your product, I feel like, is built for someone who is an avid water drinker, loves their water, does not like added sugar, but might want something a little bit different. And they can feel like they're doing, I think it's still like I think your target customer, AKA me, is someone who always wants to feel like whatever they're doing or putting into their body is getting them somewhere. And so I just love that Farmwell is just so packed with antioxidants. I actually will drink one because I did keep a case for myself. The ones that you gave me. We had a case left over, so I took them. And I actually do like to drink one before bed if I do drink. And I feel like, oh, well, I'm, detoxing my body with this Farmwell.
Definitely.
So
we'll definitely have to get you some more. So.
I love it. Okay, last question. If someone listening wants to build a consumer brand, what is the honest truth that they need to hear before they start?
Yeah, I think be really, really passionate about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because it takes time. I think that's another thing. Like it's a lot of hurry up and wait. And in doing so, like it takes more capital than I think going into it we had thought. Having the farm as well, that's a whole other story, where we're like a startup with a farm is kind of how we view ourselves. But I think it just takes a little bit more time, and because of that it takes a little bit more like capital to be able to like keep you going during these times where it might be like, hey, you're kind of waiting for these things to move forward, you're waiting for this, you've gotten like that yes, but it's like it's going to take 6 months or so for it to actually start moving forward.
Yeah.
So I think but I think it comes back to just being really passionate about what you're doing, so that like when you're hurrying up and then more importantly like waiting is like you have that motivation and that drive and that like enthusiasm to like continue to go and continue to like fuel your why and why you're doing this.
Yeah. No, that really resonates with me. Like if you're in it for the money, you're not going to last because like you said, it's a hurry up and wait.
It's hurry up and wait.
And the money is usually the last thing to come.
Yeah. Yep. That's fair.
I hear that, Erik. Well, keep going. I think you're doing amazing. I love seeing the Farmwell brand grow. You guys are always at another trade show. You're always traveling, getting the word out. I think you're doing an incredible job, and I look forward to continue watching you guys grow.
Thanks so much, Alex. Appreciate it. You as well.
Thanks. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Cultivate CNY. If you enjoyed this conversation, I'd love it if you left us a quick review and made sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if something in today's discussion resonated with you, please share it, whether it's on social media or directly with a friend. You never know how hearing this conversation might be exactly what someone needs right now. And I love to hear your feedback. I love to hear your thoughts. So please be sure to tag us on social media if you do share there.